Man, LeBron James, Russell Westbrook, and Anthony Davis says that they are committed to the Lakers' big three to make it work. Should they be an incentive from the Lakers to deal Russell Westbrook? And I don't know, man. I feel like calling my number, but Zay, I'm gonna let you start, and then I'm gonna pick it up.
You have to look at it from the Lakers' perspective. What happens when you trade Russell Westbrook, whose contract is expiring at the end of this season, which gives you $47 million in cap space for next year? If you're trading him, who are you getting in return? Does this create more depth? Does this help out LeBron James and Anthony Davis? Or is this just a way of removing Westbrook to say, we made a bad mistake and we're trying to rectify it by getting him off the team? I think for me, you have to let them play fully. AD was hurt. Braun was hurt. They played, I believe, 55 games to collectively. I believe during the season, I think AD played 30 something. I think Braun played 50 something. I forgot the exact numbers, but they didn't play a full season together. They need to be healthy. Westbrook being the healthiest guy on the team, he took the most of the blame because he doesn't shoot threes. That's not his game. He has never shot over 35% from the three-point line ever in his career. But for some reason, people anticipated that when he got to the Lakers. If you want to win, you want to get him off the team as soon as possible. You want to be able to get floor spacing for LeBron and AD. You want to be able to space the floor as much as possible. But if you want to have cap space for next offseason so that you could possibly bring somebody to this team alongside LeBron James and Anthony Davis, you keep Russell Westbrook on this team for the simple fact that $47 million availability in cap space for free agency is something that you can easily accomplish, and you could also take people's contracts on. If it's a bad contract, it's a superstar, whatever it is, you could take on that contract to bring them on to the Los Angeles Lakers team. For me personally, I do not believe the Lakers should give any incentives to get offload Westbrook off the team. I think they need to keep all the picks that they possibly can because they may lose LeBron James and Anthony Davis within 2 years if they don't play this safe and they don't play this comfortably. So I believe keep all the picks you could possibly can so your future is intact. And I don't see how the Lakers will attract another superstar for down the road because this team looks atrocious. The front office is ridiculous, and the coaching possibly got better with Darvin Ham. I'm a Darvin Ham fan. I think he's going to do great, but a lot of people are not believers in him. So we have to see how it's all going to work out. He's a no-nonsense guy, and I think that's exactly what this roster needs is a no-nonsense kind of coach. So I think not giving an incentive to offload Westbrook is the best option for this team.
Yeah, I'm going to respectfully disagree. I think they need to get rid of Russell Westbrook. First of all, Russell Westbrook has not adapted to more of an off-ball world. I think if you're going to survive in the league, anything for survival is adaptation. The dinosaurs, if they adapted, they still would be here right now. It'd be Jurassic Park outside. They didn't adapt. Guess what? They ain't here. Guys in their careers, Carmelo Anthony, Derrick Rose, they adapted. Guess what? They still here. Yes, a road that's compromised, a road that's not as big as in their primes, but they still here. Russell Westbrook has not adapted. You know what I'm saying? So guess what? He ain't going to be here if he doesn't adapt. So, yeah, I think you start up there. Also, he has not shown the ability to take advice. The guy been acting like a complete jackass, bro. I'm just keep it real. And I'm not trying to disrespect the dude, but I hate when people get to a certain level and they act like they too good. They act like they can't take advice from the corner. This guy just parted with his daggone sports agent they've been together 14 years. 14 years. And just because the guy just said, oh, we need to have a buyout, you know what I'm saying? You think you're too good for a buyout. My man, you about to be trying out, all right, for a team because you can't even, play like you used to. And you can't fit with the team that you were supposed to try to fit into. When you talk about Frank Vogel, he was like, yo, could you come off the bench and help me there? The guy was puffing in like a daggone female. And everybody sided with him. Oh, he's Russell Westbrook. How can you tell him to come off the bench? Your main priority should help your team win games. Whatever you can do, put the pride aside to help your team win games. Carmelo Anthony had to learn that, right? It took him a minute. He didn't want to learn that, and guess what? He was on the couch. Then he had to learn it, and now look where he's at. He's, about to sign with the Knicks possibly. I don't know how that's going to pan out. So, yeah, I think when you talk about that, and Zay, you made a comment about Kevin Durant apologizing to Russell Westbrook. Why? I mean, the narrative is not a made-up narrative. It wasn't somebody going behind the keyboard saying Russell Westbrook is hard to deal with. We're seeing the fruits of that right now. And that's always been the microcosm of his career. Guys that play with him, don't stay with him. Guys that play with him, don't stay with him. And look what's going on right now. All the reports that's coming out right now. So yeah, Russell Westbrook really needs to check his ego at the door. Otherwise, he'll be walking out the door with his ego. Los Shadamas.
All right. So I do want to go. I do want to comment on something that Zay said. He said that, if they wait till the end of the season, Lakers will be under the cap. That's not entirely true. The Lakers are $61 million over the cap. So even if Westbrook left, they still going to be over the cap. They have to trade Westbrook because it's not going to benefit them. They lose him for nothing. For two, he doesn't fit. Right? He doesn't fit. He just doesn't because the thing is this: either him or Bron has to play off the ball, and neither one of them has proven that they can. And who's the lesser player? Westbrook, and it's not even close, right? Now, the issue is not the issue, but the thing is this: I do think that if Westbrook went to a team with a lot of shooters, or let's say I don't know, just for the sake of argument, right? Let's say he does go somewhere and they buy him out. I think he fits good in Golden State. I know he might not want to do that, but he's gonna have to come off the bench. He ain't starting, right? But
what about the Mavs with the floor spaces they got out there?
I like that too. Another team is Denver. I think he could help. I think he has to, but I think in order for him to succeed, he's got to be willing to accept a bench role, come off the bench and do what Russ do. But LA is just not going to work. I think the thing that does hurt is, and like Zay said, and I do agree with this part is, you get rid of your picks. What if AD or Bron does leave, right? Even though Bron said he's committed to being here long term, and I like to kind of take LeBron at face value because I don't remember a situation where he's really lied. I don't ever remember him saying that he was staying in Cleveland when he left. I just remember him not saying much at all. But and I agree with the Lakers front office. I'm not a big I like to call him Kobe's agent. I don't even like to call him by his name. He part of the Fab 10. I mean Fab 5. I'm just joking with you. But a lot of people don't know that, Rob Pelinka, but he hasn't done a great job. He hasn't done a bad job, but he hasn't done a great job. He need to stop listening to Kurt Rambis and his wife. I don't know why he's listening to them at all. And then you listen to Phil Jackson. He's too busy with sage or weed or without. Phil Jackson is out of touch with reality, I believe, man. And I like Phil Jackson. He's a great coach, but I think he might just be a little too old and might just be a little out of touch with reality. But Russell Westbrook has to go. Like I told Real Lil last week, I don't know about for Kyrie. I don't like that. And the reason why is I already know AD's not going to play nothing but 55, 60 games. Ron is old, so he's not going to play nothing but 60 games. I can't have Kyrie saying that he just don't want to come to work today. I can't have Kyrie saying that he it's my sister's birthday. I want to go to a party. Blah, blah, blah. We can't have them all missing 60 games combined. You know what I mean? But Kyrie fits better than Russ.
Look, I actually think I made that point, Zay. I don't know if you remember. I made that exact point about the availability, and one of my reasonings why I would pull back on that Kyrie Irving deal, even though if it was said and done, the only way I'm getting rid of Russ is if I get Kyrie, I'm still doing it. I'm getting rid of Russ. But I did also bring up that point that Todd just brought up as well about the availability. But either way, you're entering the underworld, regardless, because you're entering the underworld. Let's say if you stay with Russ, you don't know if that's going to fit. It's not going to fit, from my personal opinion. But y'all don't know if it's going to fit, if it's going to work. So you enter in the underworld there. And Kyrie Irving, you will be entering the underworld in case we do reach another pandemic and the 50,000 variant come out and California have these mandates again. And now he's unavailable because he don't want to take the jab. So there's a lot of ways where you're taking a Hail Mary if you're LeBron James and Anthony Davis and the Lakers front office. But the one deal that I thought of, well, I didn't think of it. It actually surfaced yesterday. And it involves the Knicks. If the Knicks were able to get Donovan Mitchell, and you're talking about a Randall swap with Russell Westbrook, because Randall has that big contract and we want to pay RJ. So let's say we do get Mitch, we trade Julius Randle and they get rid of Russ. And now from the Lakers perspective, you look at that deal, Randall has improved as an all-around player since he left your franchise when he was drafted there. He could shoot threes more. He actually evolved into more of a playmaker as well. So he improved in that category. So now I think you would take the risk over there. Yeah, LeBron James, Julius Randle, how would that work? But I think you would send a better shot than Russell Westbrook. And also, from Randall's perspective, how is he going to accept, as I alluded to on the next take, how is he going to accept the third role, right? He's been the number one go-to guy for this team. When you're going to have Mitchell and Brunson over there, will he accept the fact that he's probably not going to see the ball as much? So that's incentive for him to want to get out of there. And if you're Russell, that's incentive for you to want to get out of there. So I think that scenario I'll take, because if you're the Lakers, you can always add to your roster. Eric Gordon is out there. You get a three-point shooter over there. Also, Pat Beverly. Listen, one of the main issues that I had with this Lakers team, and there was many, but one of the primary issues was the fact that they didn't commit defensively. Now, if you get a guy like Pat Bev, he's a guy that can be the leader, set the tempo and pace for that gritty defense that you need, a guy not scared to dive for loose balls and things of that nature. We got a whole lot of old legs there, guys not trying to get hurt, guys trying to look cute, try to score and not go back on the other end and defend. Now you got a guy that will make sure he defends the opposition, when he called upon, and Pat Beverly. So, or you even got Buddy Hield that can shoot 3-pointers, who you should have traded for in the first place over Russell Westbrook. So I think if you're the Lakers, if it comes down to cutting Russell Westbrook, and I know this may sound out of the ballpark, but you might just have to go caution in the wind there and try to, if you're in win now mode, try to go for that and try to sign plays and fit around LeBron and Anthony Davis.
I think the best trade is the trade they didn't do. It was reported that Tucker, I forgot, THT and Westbrook, and 2 picks for Malcolm Brogdon and Buddy Hield. Why that trade didn't go through, or why the Lakers didn't try to get a third team involved so they can get that trade, I don't know. To me, that would have been the perfect situation. You get a point guard and you get a shooter, which Malcolm Brogdon could shoot to. But then you get a shooter, and then you get to, like you said, you get those little pieces here and there. But
Zay, any last words? Bring us home. I think whatever happens, the Lakers are not going to be better than what they were last year. For the simple fact that the removal of Westbrook wasn't the issue for this team. The issue was that all the role players that they signed were all hurt. All the guys that they added to this roster who had high 3-point percentages. I think Kent Bazemore was signed last year. I believe Trevor Ariza was signed to them. Kendrick Nunn is nowhere to be found. Carmelo Anthony had a hot first half, then disappeared at the face of earth at the end of the season. A lot of the role players are supposed to be taking the brunt of the action. AD was supposed to be the head of the snake, essentially. And he was supposed to be taking over for this team, and he was nowhere to be found. Arguably, AD has been on a decline in the last 2 years. He hasn't been on the court. He's unhealthy. He's unable to play defense because he's unhealthy. He has been shooting jumpers and bricking them. He hasn't been playing his game. That was not only Westbrook's fault. That happened the year before Westbrook got there as well. He wasn't doing good. He wasn't playing well. So this team in its entirety is colossally failing after that championship they had in the bubble, because they've been declining since then, and they're adding all these guys to this team. And unfortunately, the other guys, Westbrook and other guys, Westbrook mainly, is taking the blame for this. I don't see that this is a Westbrook issue. It's a Lakers team issue, because the guys who are the star players playing alongside of him are not healthy.
But if you're a top 75 player, you got to figure it out. He's a top 75 player all time. Russell Westbrook. He got to do something. And hold on, real Lil. I better not ever hear you talking about you watching the Lakers, laughing at them, and you a Knicks fan, man. Come on now. Look. Like that. That's blasphemy, man. You can't say you watching the Lakers and you find that comical.
My man, we ain't had no expectations this year. We ain't had no expectations this year.
While you was alive over there in New York, man. Come on.
We ain't had no expectations this year, bro. They wasn't picking us to go to the chip.
Y'all ain't had
they picked this team to go to the chip.
Y'all ain't had no expectations in 40 years. What's the difference?
I mean, bro, watch that Pelicans game. Watch that game against the Pelicans when my man DeAndre Jordan threw that ball into the concession stands, bro.
Man, you talking about DeAndre Jordan? I don't even know why he's on the route. Like, the part that doesn't make sense to me is this. Was it all Russ' fault? No. But like any other situation, you got to find somebody to blame. But I will say this. Frank Vogel, I don't think he's terrible coach, but he wasn't the coach for the Lakers. And the reason why I say that is that he did a good job in Indiana. He really did. When Those guys were going, Paul George, and that roster they had, he did good. This isn't the roster for him. This is the roster for an established coach. I don't even know if this will be the roster for Darvin Ham. I don't think Darvin. I'm like him. I like Darvin Ham, but I think this roster, in my opinion, and this guy probably never coach again, but it needed a Mark Jackson. It needed somebody that these guys look to and say they didn't respect. Do you think LeBron James respect Frank Vogel?
Nah.
No. Like, come on, man. Like, they don't respect that dude. First of all, if you any type of good coach, you're not winning with no daggone Dwight Howard. I like Dwight Howard, but you got, like my man said, you got Dwight Howard at the 5, you got AD at the 4, you got LeBron, Westbrook, and somebody else. That's not going to work from a space standpoint. You got two guys that can't shoot, period. Dwight Howard, no disrespect to you, but you can't shoot. Russell Westbrook can't shoot. And even though LeBron's gotten better at shooting, he's still somebody that I'd rather him shoot than freight train to the lane and get my bigs and everybody else in foul trouble. You know what I mean? So you're really leaving all the shooting up to AD, who you want to play in the paint, but you got Dwight Howard there, so how's he going to play in the paint? So really, you leaving all the shooting up to AD, who's not that great of a three-point shooter, and probably, Malik Monk. It didn't make no sense. Roster-wise, career over for the roster, career over for the coach. Westbrook, bye.
And that's the thing when it comes to coaches and players having coaches that they can respect, because Brooklyn, they basically hide Steve Nash, Kevin Durant's intel, and Kyrie Irving. They got Kenny Atkinson out of there. Kenny Atkinson is a good coach, helped build this thing up, got him out of there because he wasn't taking that BS. He wasn't. Like, he was not. He said, you know what, DeAndre Jordan, you suck. I'm throwing in Jared Allen in the game. He's going to produce for me. He wasn't playing that. They had to get him out of there and put the yes man in there. You see, the thing about these athletes is that these guys don't listen. Like, they get money. They have rings. Well, not rings most of the time, but they have all-star appearances, and they think that, they know everything. That's why Jimmy Butler, as much as people say, Jimmy just want to win, he don't take information. He even said it on his, podcast, on JJ's podcast. He don't take information. You know what I'm saying? He gave so many coaches hell, but guess what? Now he has a coach that he can respect. Eric Spoelstra ain't playing that garbage. That's why they fighting on the sidelines half the time. You see them on camera. He doesn't play that. He's the best coach, arguably, right now in the NBA, damn sure in the East. So you need a coach like that. You need a coach that you can respect that's not going to take your mess. And that's just what it is.
Yeah, but another thing, too, is it makes a difference when their front office backs the coach. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like mommy and daddy, right? If a child comes to every time they come to their mom, they get their way, right? But then, once the dad gets involved, he kind of overturns it. And that's what it is. Like, a lot of these organizations, they back the players. So when the players come complaining to the GM or the owner, they side with the players, which, I mean, they're paying $1 million or so. Why not, right? But Pat Riley's not like that. I know they said LeBron and them went to complain about Eric Spoelstra to them. And he was like, no, this is my guy. And then, y'all got to figure it out. You know what I mean? And that's how I think more organizations could be. But, it only works when you got a good coach or owner that people respect. But GM,
yeah, I mean, how many coaches LeBron James got fired at the end of the day, bro? And yeah, I forgot about that story about Eric Spoelstra. That rings alarms to me. You know what I'm saying? But it is what it is. Ladies and gentlemen, I know y'all not getting tired of watching In the Huddle over and over again. So like and subscribe to the channel and receive these new notifications of new uploaded content that will be coming your way. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your day. I'm out. Peace.